much for your time and volunteering to do this. I know it's a really helpful way to give to the church right now. To get started, can you share your name and your occupation?
My name's Aaron, and I just got a job with the state of Oregon. I'm a compliance officer at the Department of Transportation.
And can you tell us a little bit about your religious background?
Yeah, I didn't grow up in a very religious household. My parents, well, it was my mom's idea, dragged us to church, I think, when we were like 10 or 11, and we went to a Calvary Chapel church. And I just remember that we did not like it. And so it was a short-lived thing. In college, actually, because of my grandmother, she was Christian, and she started sharing with me actually these little pamphlets that she'd get in the mail. She always listened to Charles Stanley on television, and she signed up for all of his program materials, and she would always forward them to me. And I would talk, discussions with her about religion and stuff. And so that's probably where I first became aware of what, being a Christian is and what it means and that kind of thing. But her church wasn't, as open or as progressive as the UCC. So I wasn't terribly, I didn't buy into it. There were things about it where I thought, well, it seems kind of judgmental, and being who I am, I don't know where I fit into that. So I really kind of didn't pursue it. So after that, basically in my 20s and 30s, I didn't have a lot of exposure to religion, and I didn't choose to seek anything else. And it wasn't until my 40s where some, health issues occurred that sort of propelled me back to thinking more about my spirituality and that sort of thing. So I'm pretty new, I would say, in my Christian journey. I've only been a member of UCC Hillsboro since July of last year. But I'm on the right path. I feel it in my heart. I know it. And I'm glad that it finally happened. I think it just, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, and it happened the way it happened. I'm just glad it finally happened, because I feel whole in my heart now. So.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah.
And do you have, you said it's kind of new on your journey, but do you have a favorite Bible verse or story?
I do. There's a verse in Matthew that I like, and it's, I think, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will care for itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And I used to worry a lot, and I still do a little bit, but not as much as I used to. And that verse kept me sort of like in the present moment. Like when my mind would start racing and I'd start worrying about stupid stuff, I would always read that to bring me back to the now, and try to remind myself, like, right now is all that any of us have. And you have to get through this moment. And if you're lucky and blessed to have another next moment, that's great. But you have to really learn to enjoy and work with the moment you have. So that verse always sort of brought me back to that thinking.
Absolutely.
And I still refer to it a lot. So.
Well, I bet it's really relevant right now too.
Yeah. Especially because who knows what's going to happen? The world's like totally a little bit crazy right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. We all need that reminder.
Yeah.
So can you share with us something that folks from the church might not know about you?
I don't know. I've lived here in this area for a really long time. So Hillsboro's kind of like my stomping ground. I used to drive a MAX train. That was a really cool job. A lot of people think that's kind of exciting and fun and different and weird, and it is, and it was. But it was a cool job. It was a good experience. My favorite places, I love Astoria, Oregon, and I love Palm Springs. Those are my two go-to travel places. So, and I love living here. I love Oregon a lot.
Cool.
It's a cool space. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad I'm here, especially right now during this time.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
You mentioned you just joined our church in July of last year. How did you come to be a member?
I had actually visited UCC Hillsboro about 7 or 8 years ago. I met someone who was attending there, and I attended with him, and I continued to attend with him for some time, but I just sort of, I guess, fell off the horse, I guess. I guess it just
Mhm.
wasn't my time to join. I loved it a lot. I thought Reverend Diane was like this best thing ever. She was so sweet and kind, and I just like melted when I would listen to her. She's so great.
Mhm.
So, but I guess it just, like I said earlier, that it just wasn't my time. Other things had to happen to me personally before I was propelled to be there and want to be there full time. So, but so I did attend. When I started back, I walked in and was like, where's Pastor Diane? I thought maybe she'd still be there, but Adam is as terrific. So I think he's awesome. And I really feel like that's my church home.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like I can be my authentic self. I feel people really genuinely are caring and nice. And it's just a really wonderful place to be.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And what parts of our church life do you find most meaningful?
I like the worship part, and for me, I think I haven't been able to participate in a lot of activities outside of Sunday, just because my work schedule has been a little challenging. But I think I appreciate the camaraderie and the feeling of being and want, and I don't know. I think I'm just overwhelmed by the Spirit when I'm there and everyone there together. It's just a
Mhm.
really cool feeling. And it's the only time I've ever experienced that feeling. And it's a good feeling. And it's one I want repeating over and over again. Um, when I first started, because I couldn't go to a lot of things the church does, like home plate, they just like interfered with my work. So I decided that I was going to start mowing the lawn at the church. So I shared in that responsibility last summer, and I enjoyed yard work, so that was cool. And I
Mhm.
started editing and recording the Sunday sermons and uploading them to the website. So that's kind of, that gives me some joy knowing that I can do something to help,
Mhm.
even though I can't be partnering out in the community to do it. I think as my time goes on with my current job, I'll have more time to do stuff like that, which I kind of
Sure.
look forward to.
Cool. So you've been doing some of the behind the scenes stuff that we didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
And
thank
I
you
know
for that.
well, I think someone else is mowing the lawn right now, because last time we drove by, it looked really good. So I
Mhm.
was happy because it looks great. It's so green, and the church looks so awesome. I wish that we could all see it more right now, but
Yeah, definitely. It's a beautiful time
soon
of
enough,
year.
I hope.
Hmm. So if you're comfortable sharing, can you tell us a little bit about how and why you support our church financially?
Because I appreciate the work that it does, and people who work there and support it and make it happen need to get paid.
Hmm.
And I want them to get paid, and I want the mission of the church to continue, and that does require financial support, and it requires a lot of time and talent too. I think that's one thing I really appreciate what Adam says, is that if you can't give what you want to give, or you don't have the means to give right now, there's always time and talent that is helpful in the mission of the church. So I don't feel like pressured to give a certain amount or anything like that, because I know that people have things happen in their lives where they maybe can't, or they're in need or whatever. And I want the church to be able to provide to them if necessary. So like we have that COVID relief fund that I saw as part of the email, and different avenues to help our own membership and help other people as well out in the community. So
Hmm.
that takes money to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance between the finances and the time too.
Yeah.
Hmm. What would you say to others who are considering supporting the church?
Go for it. Do it. It's money not wasted. It's all good. It all goes to good causes. And it is that just might be just what someone needs to get through the day or to get through their week or to know that they can maybe rely on if they really get into a position where they just have nowhere else to go, you know? I think that's like part of being a part of a church family.
Yeah.
Is that can be your family and can help you.
Definitely.
You know?
Absolutely. If you don't mind sharing, do you give weekly, monthly, or annually?
Last year when I joined, I did an annual pledge, and I'll give here and there if I have cash or remember my checkbook on Sunday in the offering plate. But I chose to do the annual pledge.
Okay. And how did you decide what to give?
You know, it was about financial comfort, actually, because last year I had a different job and I didn't make a lot. So I had to really kind of carefully figure, okay, what do I feel comfortable doing here? You know, because I honestly had to I pulled it out of savings because I didn't have the monthly wherewithal to, you know, pledge monthly. So I think it's very personal, and people just have to, if they can, they have to figure out what they can do. And some people may not be able to do anything at that moment or for a while or whatever. But for me, it was like, you know, I had to feel comfortable with what I was going to have left, and figure, okay, is what I have left enough? If something else happened, I needed to fall back on some, you know, my savings.
Sure.
So for me, it was about financial comfort.
Yeah. Definitely unique to each person.
It is. It really is. And I don't think people should feel bad if they can't. Because other people can and probably give more in place of what you could give. And then maybe if you're in a different position sometime, you can do the same. You know? Because you never know what's going to happen, right?
Right.
You just don't. So.
Right now, how have you been personally impacted by COVID-19?
Well, I'm tired of being home, but that's not a personal impact. I don't have any friends or family that have COVID. I have a coworker who has been ill with respiratory problems, which are not COVID related, they say, but she's pretty sick. I have not been at work in 2 months. I've been working from home. It's just different, you know. It's kind of like, I was telling somebody the other day how we're just all trying to act normal as best we can and go to work every day and have our life. But when you think about how different things are now, you know, it really is different. You know, I mean, I'm masking up and wearing gloves to go grocery shopping, and, you know, I'm kind of a personable person. So instead of like saying hi, I'm like going the opposite direction of people. You know, it's just bizarre. It's just weird, the adaptations we're making. And I don't know. I think we should all give ourselves some recognition and credit for making those changes, because they're kind of significant, I think.
Absolutely.
I thought the world was kind of socially messed up because of texting and Facebook, and now the like person to person part is becoming different and strange, and I'm just like, wow, what's gonna be the end result of all this, you know?
Right.
I hope that means we miss people enough and want to be more people face-to-face focused versus virtual, because this works well right now, but I don't want to virtually see Molly. I'd like to see Molly at church, right?
Right. I think we're all going to have a little bit of Zoom fatigue by the end of it.
Yeah.
So. At least I hope.
Yeah.
So one final question. What is one hope or prayer that you have for our church in the next year as we grapple with the impact of COVID-19?
I hope that financially we survive it, and pray that we can get through it that way. And I pray that people, their strength toward God strengthens. And once we're all back together, everyone has sort of like maybe a new zest and mission and an appreciation for what we have and what we do in the community. And people will be willing and wanting to do just 10 times more. and there'll just be a huge amount of good energy behind it all.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I hope for that too.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and
You're
chatting.
welcome.
It's been really fun to get to know you a little bit more and hear some of your experiences. So I really
Thanks.
appreciate your time.
Thanks. Hope to see you at church soon.